For my next guest, we are going down under to Australia with Jenna Barker of Boxing with Jenna. Watching her father while he trained in boxing, Jenna developed a passion for the sport. Although she never competed or fought, her love for boxing drove her to educate herself, and over time she opened up her own gym. She is now working with the awesome team at Brother Boxing. Hi everyone, this is Paula V again. We are in the corner with Jenna Barker. Hi, it's so good to
Hi.
see you. I follow you on Instagram. I watch you all the time, and I have a hard time being a corner person in this male dominated industry, and you're a whole trainer. So that is a whole nother spectrum. So,
Yeah,
welcome. Why
thank
don't you
you.
tell me a little bit about yourself or how you got started, and then we'll just go from there.
I started going down the boxing gym when I was like 14 years old, riding my bike down the boxing gym. My dad boxed, and he used to train every single day after work in our garage, bag work, shadow boxing, skipping. And I got to a certain age when I was 14, I'm like, I want to get better than him, but he wouldn't teach me. So I just went down the gym. And back then, like in Australia, where I'm from, there was no girls around. Like there was just, maybe I like the gyms I go, every gym I went to up until I was about 25. So a whole 9 years, I was the only girl. So,
Wow.
all your sparring partners are men, and all you make some really great male relationships,
Mm-hmm.
they almost become like your brothers. And yeah, and I just fell in love with the sport. I just fell in love with um the technique. Like I was a little bit naughty when I was younger, and I was always getting in trouble. I was very aggressive, and boxing changed the way it took all the emotion
Yeah.
um out of violence for me. It made it a really technical, scientific thing. And I think that just like sparked this in me, like, oh, I just got to keep learning, got to keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as I got older, I went and played footy, AFL. So it's kind of like, because you guys have like the NFL, yeah? So
Yes.
like the gridiron, it's kind of like a mix of that,
Uh-huh.
but no like protective equipment. And
Rugby?
it's not rugby. It's hard. There's tackling.
Okay.
It's kind of a mix of rugby and soccer. So
Ah.
yeah, so it's yeah. Anyway, I played that at quite a
Mm-hmm.
high level, and I got a few concussions doing that sport. So
Oh
I
my.
I had about 5 concussions playing footy, and the whole time I would use boxing as my pre-season for footy to keep me fit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I got to a certain age where I retired from footy, and I was like, all right, I'm finally going to compete in boxing. This is it. This is the time. I'm going to compete. I've been sparring forever. All right, let's, pull your
Let's
finger
do
out
it.
and commit to it. And then I found a really good gym, and I was doing a sparring day. We did 10 3-minute rounds with another gym, and I got
Mm-hmm.
another concussion on the third round. I didn't know at the time,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I woke up the next day. I was very nauseous. I was very sick. I was very sick for about a good 6 months from it.
Yeah.
And the with concussions, the more you get, the more prone you are to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a after that, I had a meeting with my doctor, and they just said to me, "Look, you can't spar anymore." And then at the same time, my friend had opened a gym, and they're like, "Hey, can you come coach?" And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't feel comfortable to coach. I'm not a fighter. I don't feel comfortable. And Indy, my mate, whose gym it was, he's an ex professional Muay Thai fighter. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, mate, I don't care if you can get people where you're at, you'll be fine. Like
Right.
just do it for me. I can't find a coach. that I don't want to deal with boxing. He's not into boxing. He's a Muay Thai guy. And he kind of talked me into it. And yeah, I did it and I just loved it. So
Awesome.
yeah, and then it just went from there. Like
Yeah.
it kind of just I started there, and then I think, you know, the biggest thing for me was like I've had all these men like um kind of encourage me and get behind me
Hmm.
when I felt so like, oh, I can't do this. This isn't my place. I think you feel that as a woman. This
Yes.
isn't my place to be teaching these men. And then this added aspect of I'm not a competitive boxer. So
Right.
even though I've done a lot of sparring, got a lot of experience in the gym, I've been around it since I was young. I'm not a competitive fighter.
Right.
So I all had that in my head too. And then I've just had all these men say, dude, you can coach. Like they get behind me. And then it wasn't until like I started building up a few boys, taking them to other gyms and them sparring. And I'm like, oh, we're competitive. Like I can do this. I can do this. So
Right.
yeah, it's just all gone from there, and it's been awesome. It's really good.
Wonderful. I know that you had your own gym at one point, and then I think last year or so you had to, like most small gyms, it's a
Yeah,
struggle, right? To keep in business and keep up with clients. And so I
yeah.
know that unfortunately you had to shut down your gym last year or so.
Yeah, I did. The gym that I started at closed down,
Hmm.
and then I had all the guys that were doing the boxing program. They wanted to continue to keep training,
Right.
and as soon as that happened, I was like, all right, I need to find us a space. So I rented a local hall for a while, which
Hmm.
was it was really funny. Like the floors were so slippery in the hall, and there was a possum infestation in the hall. So we would go into like the gym, our hall,
Yeah.
we have to hang up all the bags. I have to sweep all the possum poo off the floor, and the boys. But you know what? It was fantastic because we had very limited equipment, so
Hmm.
we're doing way more drills, way more defensive drills, way more technical skills. The boys are getting a lot of touch on each other,
Hmm.
and and I had to be really creative about how I coach because of the limited equipment. So
Right.
that was fantastic. And then we moved to another place, and I was renting a space, and I had like four guys competing for me,
Hmm.
and but people come and go with boxing. Boxing's such a huge commitment.
Yes.
People get new jobs. They move. They get girlfriends.
Yes.
And it's hard to be always in that fight camp mode kind of thing. So
Yeah.
people moved on, and I was like, you know what, I need help. So Jax, who's my boss now, that's the
Hmm.
gym I work for, Brother Boxing,
Hmm.
he was already paying me to train him, and
Okay.
I called him one day and I said, hey mate, I think I'll just shut the gym down. I'll just come on board with you. And it's honestly probably the best decision I've made, knowing that I need help here. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm drowning. And you would know, like being around fighters, knowing what
Yes.
you do, it takes a team. It takes an army to build someone up,
Absolutely.
and you need that support. So
For
yeah.
sure. Have you ever felt, as a coach, have you ever felt, I know this is another struggle, when I've spoken to other coaches that they have, is wanting it more for the fighter than they do. Have you ever had that? How do you
Uh,
deal with it?
100%. It's something that I'm still learning. Like I've been coaching for 6 years now, and I've had guys competing for me for probably like the last 4 years. And I
Hmm.
definitely think at the start there was a few boys that I I wouldn't say that I pressured it into it, but I wanted to see them compete. They were so
Yeah.
skilled, so talented. But it's getting to the stage now that I'm realizing like this has got to be 50-50. Like it can't be me doing everything for you. It can't be 70-30. If anything, it should be 60-40. I should
Right.
say you should be up every morning. You should be running. You should be doing extra drills if you need to. You should be eating well. And there's definitely those times where you feel like you're doing everything you can to get these guys into the ring, and they're kind of just like like a few guys I've been like, would you do this if I wasn't nurturing you so much, if
Right.
that makes sense?
Yes.
And even in the last 12 months I've kind of had to, it's still something I'm because I'm so passionate about it and I want to
Yes.
help everyone. It's still something that I'm adjusting to now, like I'm always looking, like even if I'm training someone else, I'll
Hmm.
always be looking what everyone's doing at the gym.
Right.
And I met a really elite level amateur boxer late last year, and she said if the if they give me 100, like, because she does coaching as well, and she said, I always say to my group, if they give me 100, I'll give you 100. You match that energy. So this is something that I'm still adjusting to. Like,
Right.
I need to match what I'm getting back instead of
Exactly.
trying to really, really nurture these boys in to take those steps. So they've got to
Exactly.
want it. They've got to want it.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Now, as a woman in the industry, um, have you experienced any type of pushback or disrespect, or have you been around, has it all been positive for you, this experience of being the only woman doing
Um,
this?
I definitely think there's a huge element of me having to work twice as hard to
Yeah,
get that respect. Like,
yeah,
it's taken me, like, I'm quite confident with it now because the
mhm,
proof is in the pudding. Like, I can build someone from the word go,
right,
and I can take the right steps for that athlete to develop them. So I've got examples there, like, of people that I've built up.
right,
When I'm in the gym, the rest of the boys can see the boys that have come to the gym with me. But before I had that,
mhm,
if there's me there coaching and there's just a male coach around, he could be the worst coach ever. All those boys are going to look to him instead of me. And even though I could do more study, even though
yes,
I could have better qualifications, even though I could, invest more time in it, I might even be a more skilled pad holder. I
yes,
might be more skilled in every aspect, but just because he's a man, they'll instantly respect him more. And it takes me a few months for
hmm,
people to actually realize, oh, Jenna can help me. She knows what she's doing. I found that a lot when I moved from having my own gym to
yeah,
moving to Brother Boxing, where they have a huge, way bigger membership base.
right,
And even though I have the support of Jax, the owner, like I was coaching him, still the rest of the group there, they had to get to know me and realize that, oh no, I'm not just some girl.
yes,
I'm, regardless of my gender, I'm a boxing coach. I'm passionate about this. I'm going to make you better.
yeah.
And, if I had have been, if I had a penis, if I was a man, straight, straight away, I would have walked in that gym and got respect like
Just
that.
like that.
But
Yes.
I had to earn it. I had to earn it, and
Yeah.
I even feel that pressure when we go to fights. If I'm cornering, I feel that pressure. Like, these these the people we're competing against, the people in the crowd, they're going to be watching me extra hard. Can she coach? Is
Yes.
she what's she producing? And that makes me work hard. That
Yes.
makes me work hard. And I probably shouldn't say it, but I guess, I do have that little bit of a chip on my shoulder that does drive me to work really hard to be the best coach I can be, because
Yes.
I do want to prove everyone wrong. I want to show that women can do it, and we can build up these male and female boxes, and I can make you better, or if not more awesome than your male coach can. So
Yeah, that seems to be a general consensus that all the ladies that I've spoken to, we all pretty much are experiencing the same thing, no matter where we are, no matter if we're a coach or a fight doctor or a cut woman, we all have that same general consensus where we have to work twice as hard to get the respect.
yeah,
And just like for me, I've been told that my hand wraps are great and they're awesome. And I watch other, coaches and stuff, and I know my work and I
yeah,
know what I'm seeing is not as good as mine, but they will
yeah,
go to that guy in a minute, even
yeah.
though I know my stuff is quality. So yeah, I completely understand what you're
A
saying.
100%. Like I could explain a drill perfectly, right? I could, like explain it perfectly and implement it perfectly. But if a guy turns around and does the same drill and he explains it half-assed and it's like a little bit harder to understand, but all the boys will be like, oh yeah, yeah. Like it's like, man, you got to listen to me. But I'm really, really lucky because the boys that do invest in me,
Mhm.
they get the results back, the stuff that I'm teaching them is working for them in sparring.
Yeah.
So the proof is in the pudding. They cannot listen to me. That's fine. They cannot apply what I'm saying, but
Mhm.
but they're gonna develop quicker if they do apply it, and eventually they learn it.
Right.
And all it takes is a few of the guys that have invested to me have got my back. Spar them. Go
Right.
spar. Go
Right.
spar the boys that I'm coaching, and you'll see different things that you're not getting,
Mhm.
and that you're not learning from other coaches,
Yeah.
and and then yeah, so that's kind of and that's why as well, like I have to be a good coach. I have to make sure that I'm training these boys in the right way. I have to
Mhm.
make sure I'm studying. I have to make sure I'm on the top of my game
Yeah.
and trying to learn from other people. Otherwise, there's not gonna I'm not gonna get the results or the respect that I need to succeed at
Exactly.
this.
100%. As a coach, is there one particular coach or trainer that you have looked up to, or you pattern your style from, or who is it that you watch all the time?
So I don't. It's hard. I draw things from different coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I try not to teach. I try not to teach things that I can't do. So even though
Mm-hmm.
I don't spar anymore, I still
Right.
need to be able to implement the drills or use the drills before inspiring. I still need to know that they work.
Right.
Um, so like I like guys like Mustafa. I
Yeah.
like him. There's another coach. He puts up some really good film study science over violence. I don't actually know his name. Um, but there is a lot of there's a team. It's funny. I'm not so much a fan of coaches specifically. I'm more fans of teams.
Yes.
So like there's a team in Queensland that is like a really successful amateur team, and I'm always looking at amateur boxers because that's what I work with, novice and
Yeah.
amateur boxers. Um, and they're called All Star Boxing, and I'm like, okay, what's their program? I'm always like, but how are they making everyone look so beautiful, So
Right.
I'm always kind of picking things from different things. Then I'll try and do my own
Yeah.
research, and then I'll apply it from the drill. There's not one person specifically
Yeah.
that I'll try and be like, exactly like. I'm just trying to
Exactly.
see what I think. All right, that's good. That's good. Take it from everyone and just make something in the
Yeah.
middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I there is like I have, got I constantly buy tutorials. Like I have watched like all the Barry Robertson tutorials about, that was huge for me, air controls, head controls, and then Malik King Scott as well. He's got a cool tutorial on the long guard. Um, there's lots of I could rattle off for ages. I study.
That's awesome. Then it's the same sort of for us I pretty much I have my mentors and my people, and I've always been told you have to get your own style. You have to make your own way. So I will take bits and pieces from,
Yeah,
different people that I see rap and try and figure it out, as well as in the corner. When I'm working the corner, I'm always watching my fights afterwards to see what did I do wrong. How
yeah.
can I do better?
I'm the same. Like film study is so important. Like,
Hmm.
and I make the guys do it that compete. Like it is so huge. I'm always thinking and assessing that. Even when I teach classes,
Yeah,
like with your corner work, I'm always like, how could I explain that drill better? And
yeah,
if I'm teaching the class, say I'm teaching a class of 30 people, and only 5 people are getting it and the other 25 are struggling, I'm like, oh, this must be a me problem. So I think that's something that I'm always doing, like reassessing myself. How can I do this better
yeah,
so that people can get more out of it?
yeah.
So
So I know you have you're limited on time. So my last question for you is the topic of our podcast is what do you think women's influence on boxing? Your opinion of it? How do you think women make an impression on boxing in itself?
I think boxing, like obviously it's such a male dominated sport,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing with it being so male dominated, boxing's a really scary sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking scary to get punched in the head. It's war. It's so scary.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about having um, a female coach around. We're naturally more nurturing. I don't have kids, but I'm more nurturing.
Right.
Fighters, so many of the guys that compete under me have cried to me. So many of those guys will tell me if something's going on that's serious. They
Right.
wouldn't have those conversations with their male coaches. And
Exactly.
obviously you don't want to fight and be emotional, but
Mm-hmm.
but the nerves leading up to it, the fear leading up to it, everything like that, it's okay to be scared. And
Yeah.
I think they feel more comfortable um expressing that to a female coach.
Yeah.
And as well, like I'm always, and I don't know if it is because I'm a female or if it's just my nature, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm super diligent when it comes to their safety. That is my
Yeah.
top priority. That's why I train them how I do. I focus so much on defensive drilling
Yes.
because that is the only thing that's going to keep them safe is how skilled they are. It's all well and
Absolutely.
good to punch and punch and punch, but the reason I do so much defense is because I want them to be safe. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason I teach them clinching is because I want them to know how to stop the action so they can be safe. I
Mm-hmm.
never got taught like that. So I'm always thinking like, how can I keep these boys safe? I think about not just them boxing now. I think these guys are going to be fathers one day. They're going
Mm-hmm.
to be husbands one day.
Yes.
I want them to have a good brain
Yeah.
that they can regulate their emotions. They can be good partners. They can be present. They can have nice conversations. And I'm always thinking about what their life's going to be like after boxing
Right.
because it's so rare that a world champion is going to walk into the gym.
Yeah.
80% of these guys are going to box for 5 years. Some of them will box for 10, some of them will box for 15. But you want to think, what's their life going to be like after boxing? And that's
Right.
why I'm always looking at that safety. And I don't know if male coaches, I'm sure they are looking after their well-being and safety, but I'm like really, really, really obsessed with it. So
Right.
I think that comes from being a female and yeah, and just wanting to like care for them, and
Yeah.
sometimes I think the boys think I'm really harsh, really mean, and
Mm-hmm.
it's because I care about them. It's because I care about them. If
Yeah.
I didn't care about them, I wouldn't yell at them, I wouldn't push them, I wouldn't, but
Yeah.
it's because it I want them to be as safe as they possibly can in this very dangerous sport, because that's what it is. It's a dangerous sport. You have to respect the sport.
For sure, for sure. And I look up to those women that choose the fighting path, because
100%.
I mean, we could easily, as women, stay and be support staff and stay and be in the corner or be, on the outside of the ring. But the ones that choose to get in the ring, I so look up to them, because that is the bravest thing there is.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you said it just there, and I can tell you have so much respect for the boxers you work with. That's how I feel about them too. As people who are involved in the sport that aren't competitive boxers, I have any of the boys, any of the girls that compete, I have so much respect for them. I'll never knock them. I'll do everything I can to support them. And and that's where there's some of the things that I think, coaches with that, though, their own big fight records and stuff go wrong. Like they'll try and make that person like them. Or they'll try. I'm always trying to make that person the best person they can be, not trying to make them into something else. But it's just, that respect for the sport and that love for the sport.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know you got to run. You got to go train.
Thank you so much, Paula. I really appreciate it. And it's so cool to meet you. Like, it's incredible. Like, I actually really want to learn how to wrap hands. So
we're
really
going to have to do this again, and I can walk you through everything.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I really, really appreciate you taking the time and reaching out to me. Like, I know that you've worked with some really great coaches and athletes, and we're all the way down here in Australia, and I'm working with novices and amateurs. So it's a step up for me. So I really, really am grateful. So thank you so much.
Of course, you're doing big things. You're doing wonderful things. I'm hoping one day our paths will cross somewhere down the road. It's so awesome.
Where are you?
I'm in Florida. I'm in Florida.
All right, maybe I'll have to come there, and you can teach me how to wrap hands in person.
For sure. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks, Paula.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to give a great big thank you to Jenna Barker getting in touch with me from Australia. It was great to have her. She's a really good coach. You guys can follow her at Boxing with Jenna on Instagram. You can also find and follow me at PMAT1. That's PMAT1. Trying to highlight some of the great women in combat sports doing some great work. We all pretty much are experiencing the same things, no matter what area of sports that we're in, whether it's cut woman, doctor, or fighter. Trying to just give everyone their flowers and show some appreciation for all the work that they're doing. You can follow, share my podcast. You can find it on YouTube at The Corner with Paula V. Trying to try and post something weekly. So if you know of anyone that you would like to hear from, just get in touch with me and I'll set something up to talk to them. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks. Peace out.